In the headlines, a $15 million rehabilitation project for the Roseau Fisheries complex, a consultancy on Dowasco's multi-million-pound water system improvement project begins in a few weeks, and Dominicans told to be more proactive in understanding the voter registration system. I'm Andrea V with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are.
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, an over $15 million rehabilitation project on the cards for the Roseau Fisheries complex. That's according to Acting Senior Fisheries Officer Julian Defoe. Defoe says the upgrade works on the hurricane-damaged structure being spearheaded by a mission from Japan will also showcase environmentally friendly features.
From the last week in May, the mission is going to come again to present to us the detailed outline of what they are going to do. And I just want to tell Mr. Minister that I mentioned 15 million. I will not say the exact figure, but the intervention is going to be more than 15 million. The complete rehabilitation of Roseau, redesign to look at new food safety issues, processing issues. So as you knew how dunks used to be, again we're looking at environmental friendly equipment. So the old systems there we have, which is mainly ice, cold storage, blast freezer. The system before was using R22 refrigerant. We're going to move into R44 refrigerant to make it more environmentally friendly.
As regards the fishing complexes in Marigot and Portsmouth, a lot of work has been done on those facilities, and they are almost 100% operational in terms of ice production and cold storage. On the topic of aquaculture, the Fisheries Division is preparing to revamp this practice, particularly as the ministry seeks to align itself with the demands of oncoming five-star hotels for organic food.
And we're going to move ahead with aquaculture in the new financial year, especially in targeted species, more profitable species, especially one of the key ones we have a lot of experience in and technical expertise in is the freshwater prawns, macrobium species. Okay, and for all the major establishments that we have coming on stream, like Kempinski and so on, these are the luxury kind of products you're going to look ahead to. Aquaculture in itself can be capital intensive, but there are scope and there are individuals who have already given the commitment. So the part on ourselves as the Ministry of Agriculture is to provide the services and the enable environment, as the Minister said. So whereas before at the GMIT facility we had focused on grow out, I think now our emphasis will be as a hatchery.
The Acting Senior Fisheries Officer says the division is looking to have legislation enacted to guide the basic food safety standards within the industry to benefit both the local and foreign consumers.
We would not want to engage the fishers into only believing that they have to make that effort into food safety and quality to meet the high-end market. But we're going to present it in a way that it becomes a standard operating procedures, and they do not handle your fish in one way and handle the fish for Kempinski in another way. This is just going to be basic standards. And we're going to need the assistance of the Ministry and Legal Affairs to enact the fisheries regulations, because voluntary compliance can only take us so far. And we have tried for many years, we have given them a lot of time to adapt, and we will still give them further support to adapt, because they will need specific tools and equipment in the first instance.
In other top stories, the Dominican public is being advised to be more proactive in understanding the voter registration system. Chief Elections Officer Ian Michael Anthony warned the public that registration is not done at the Electoral Commission office in Roseau, but rather in the constituencies. According to Anthony, outside of the Roseau area, there are 20 registering officers appointed by the Commission and over 100 assistant registering officers who are the first point of contact in the electoral registration process.
Sometimes people believe that they can come to the electoral office to get registered, but no. It actually is done by somebody within each polling district in the constituency. They will take the information and then it's passed on to the office for processing. In the process of being registered, what actually happens, and that is important as well, is that a claim is being made to be registered. So, yes, I go to my assistant registering officer, and yes, I fill in the forms and everything, but at that point, I am not yet registered. That's important. I am making a claim, and that is why the law speaks to, once we publish the list, people can scrutinize and raise objections where they feel they need to.
Dominicans are also being encouraged to scrutinize the list which comes out on a regular basis and be mindful of the procedure for objecting to names on the list.
Every quarter, we will put out a supplementary list. And that supplementary list will include only new persons registered within the quarter. In fact, we just put out one earlier this month. What we advise the public to do is to scrutinize those lists carefully. Sometimes a name could be spelled incorrectly, for example, and we need to correct it. We can do it at that point in time. In terms of the objections, as Mr. Burton mentioned, it is not just getting up and saying, well, I object to John Brown's name on the list. There's a specific procedure that has to be followed, and that is a procedure laid down in the law, including the very form that is used to lodge those objections.
On the topic of the identification card, Anthony cautions that this would not be an automatic process and the people will have to enroll for these cards once the necessary legislation is put in place.
What will happen, and that needs to be very clearly articulated, persons are going to be, once we have the framework in place, enrolling to get a card. So it's not automatic that you get a card. You have to enroll. The idea is that we create centers where you come in, you give us the information that we need, we take it. We go back and we verify, first of all, is this person on the electors list? That's important. So if somebody is not registered but happens to come in to enroll, that person already will not get a card because the person is not a registered elector. And the purpose of verifying is to ensure that somebody who was enrolled for the card is actually entitled to receive the card. Once we've done that, based on the proposed amendments to the Registration of Electors Act, if somebody is found not to be qualified to receive the card, then it moves to their name being deleted from the list. Those who are qualified will get the cards.
In more developments, a consultancy on a £25 million water system improvement project expected to begin here next month. Julian Morris reports.
Hurricane Maria severely damaged Dominica's water systems, leaving 97% of the population without clean drinking water. Several countries and non-governmental organizations have since come on board, pledging support to help restore potable water in the country. DOWASCO's Chief Engineer Magnus Williams says the funding from the United Kingdom will be utilized to provide technical assistance and capital works in the water sector in the country.
This project is being implemented with partnership from the CDB. The first step will be to develop a water sector strategic development plan, which will then guide the development of the infrastructure works. The consultant is we are about to sign a contract with that consultant, and we expect that that consultancy will begin next month. And as mentioned, this will provide the guidance for figuring out the best way to utilize the balance of the £25 million for improving our operations, and we also focus on looking at legislative and policy aspects as well as infrastructure.
Williams says by 2015 the company had essentially 100% potable water coverage in the country, but this achievement was short-lived.
The Bells Penrice water supply project, when that project was implemented, that brought our coverage. We don't want to say 100%, but 99.5%, and that would have covered all of the major settlements, because there are some people that are located in areas where it may not have been practical to extend the system. So we are virtually at 100% as of 2015 upon completion of that project. However, that achievement was short-lived, and that's the picture of some of the devastation from Hurricane Maria. Before that, we got impacted by Tropical Storm Erica. Damage for both of the systems was way in excess of $100 million. So ever since that, we've been focusing on building resilience in our networks under the principle of building back better. And of course, that has to be done at a hefty cost.
DOWASCO's chief engineer also gave an update on other projects in the pipeline for improving the functions of the company, such as the extension of the Grand Bay Pichler water system and improving the East Coast water supply system.
We also want to further upgrade the West Coast system because that was impacted by Erica and Maria, and the capacity of that system has been reduced, so we want to improve and enhance it to facilitate hotel and housing developments on the West Coast and all the way to Portsmouth. And one of the ways is to actually replace our Cooley Beach resource, which was lost, and provide a new source to feed into that grid. We also have the Roseau Valley Water Supply Project, which we also hope to implement to upgrade the service to the communities in the Roseau Valley. And of course, I mentioned earlier that we're paying a lot to Domlec, so we're trying to incorporate more solar energy for providing power for our pumps. And we're actually now about to implement a pilot project at our sewage plant in Baytown with monies from the Italian government for installing a 95 kilowatt system to provide most of the energy for sewage treatment.
Currently, DOWASCO treats and distributes 10 million imperial gallons of water on a 24/7 basis. The company has a total storage capacity of 5.8 million gallons and serves over 23,000 customers.
On to housing matters. Prime Minister Skerrit says the housing resettlement in Bellevue-Chopin is becoming the envy of the region. Prime Minister Skerrit addressed a ceremony on Tuesday where 52 additional displaced families of Petite-Savanne received keys to their new hurricane-resilient homes.
I've traveled through the region. As a matter of fact, when we gave the first 48 homes some months ago, I got many inquiries as to how do you go with financing this? How do you go about doing this project? Is there any documentation you can share with us? This is what my colleagues in the region were asking me about. And the Caribbean people when they saw these photographs and people who have come in to visit it, have said this is the best housing development they have seen in the Caribbean.
Mr. Skerrit says it is unfortunate that some critics do not appreciate government efforts to restore the country post-Hurricane Maria. He believes the speed with which the country was brought back to normalcy is being used to deny the severity of the impact of the hurricane.
Sometimes I hear some Dominicans speak, thank God is a minority. And people speak as if, well, we were not impacted by Ophelia in 2010. We were not impacted by the trough in 2013. We were not impacted by the Tropical Storm Erica in 2015 and by Hurricane Maria in 2017. You know, maybe sometimes you say, well, because this government has done so well in restoring lives and livelihoods and restoring the country and the infrastructure, people take this for granted. But those of us who are old enough to have experienced Hurricane David would have known how long it took us to get even water and light and basic infrastructure. But less than 2 years after Hurricane Maria, everybody has light, people have internet, people have television, people have roads they can drive in from their homes, and people are getting brand new hurricane resilient homes in Dominica. And we take this thing for granted.
Mr. Skerrit says these achievements are often taken for granted because government makes it appear effortless.
I can tell you, my friends, we don't come crying to you as a government because when you're in a leadership position, you have to lead and you have to lead in a very strong manner. But to run this country and to mobilize the resources to do all of what you see happening is not easy. And you know, some people speak as if Dominica has a population of 7 million people, and 4 million of these 7 million people are paying taxes in Dominica. We're only a population of 70,000 people. And the majority of Dominican working people do not pay any income tax. And where do we get the resources to mobilize, to do all of what we're doing now? It is because this government is conscientious. It is because this government cares about people. It is about because this government knows about the needs of people. And importantly, it has friends.
In related news, the vast majority of residential buildings at the Petit-Savan resettlement in Bellevue-Chopin expected to be completed over the next 2 months. The installation of street lighting, bus shelters and signage, as well as the shopping plaza and sports facilities, are all expected to be completed within that time frame. Some local companies have been commended for their role in helping make the new community more resilient by placing electricity and communication services underground. Project manager Christopher Timmins addressed Tuesday's handing over ceremony of 52 new housing units at Bellevue-Chopin.
And I must acknowledge here the efforts of Domilek, Dewasco and Flo, whom have so far installed their systems in what is a huge infrastructure requirement to get all the services underground. It's much more time consuming than the traditional approach, but in the long term it will prevent outages due to the weather as well as providing a more aesthetic appearance. It has always been the intent that we would work with the government to create a large self-sufficient mountain community, still retaining its rural essence, but at the same time providing the facilities of a town with access to high-speed internet, shops providing all the requisites for daily living from the plaza, offices for utility companies and other service providers, whether it be a doctor, lawyer's offices. This, coupled with the provisions of the new community centre, the farmers market, the playing and basketball fields, hopefully alleviating the need to go to Rosso for daily requirements, creating employment and small business opportunities, as well as hopefully bringing customers in from nearby locations. The inclusion within the development of the replacement of the partially built Petro Castle homes, sadly damaged in the hurricane, will see the tying together of the 4 areas to create a total of 353 new homes.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are,
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
there's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Les moun ki ni TB estene e ben tout se, moun ki en bonne santé oli wen ka respire se vermine la. Moun ki pa ni bon tempérament kon sa ki ni maladie HIV, alcool, ka fime, ti mamay e grand moun bien sensible pour ces maladies ça là. Moun ki ka tousse ni pou prendre précaution le yo en parmi moun en place publique, couvert bouche ou le ka estene et tousse. Visiter docteur et ben place santé. Fini tout traitement yo ba ou sa joine guérison et puis maladie TB. En responsabilité ou aider du bout si men maladie TB et HIV, protéger corps et les autres.
Welcome back. A series of handing over ceremonies are expected between now and June this year as government continues to house displaced Petit-Savan residents. The Prime Minister anticipates the handing over of significant numbers of completed housing units between April and June.
By mid-April, that is next month, God willing, we will hand over 30 keys, 30 more keys by mid-April. And by the end of April, we'll hand over an additional 60 keys to 60 families. So in the month of April alone, we'll be giving keys to 90 additional families. And by mid-May, an additional 45 keys to families. And early June, first week of June, 50 additional keys. And when we will have completed the allocation to the residents of Petit-Savan, we will have in excess of about 110 or so additional homes, which we will also provide to people, to people from Bagatelle, Pishley, and the rest of Dominica. So there'll be an additional 110 keys, and of course to our friends from Belleville-Chopin. We will hand over keys to them.
The Prime Minister says 500 additional residential units will be constructed in other parts of the country. These additional housing units all contribute to government's goal of building 5,000 new homes.
Build these homes in a steady way to ensure that when or if a storm comes, we'll be in a better position to withstand it. And as Mr. Timmins indicated to you, all of the electrical lines are underground. All of the telephone lines are underground. You're not seeing any poles there. All of it underground, creating a resilient community, a community that can withstand the test of times. And that's what we said we were going to do. And this is why, my friends, the Bible was so apt on the issue of vision. Because vision is important. It says, where there is no vision, a people perish. And when we were affected by Erica, we told Dominicans and we told our fellow citizens that we were going to build back better. And building back better, we articulated was that when we build these communities, this infrastructure, if we're to be visited by tropical storm Erica in the future, we'll be in a better position to withstand it.
Four Caribbean nations, including Barbados, are being urged to take pay cuts from pilots off the table as they continue to mull over options for a new flight path for the cash-strapped carrier. Ahead of planned talks in Barbados on Wednesday between LIAT's shareholder governments, management, and unions representing the airline's workers, pilots have served notice that a salary cut is not an option. President of the Leeward Islands Airline Pilots Association, LIAPA, Carl Burke, says his members are very reluctant to accept the call for a salary cut at this time. Burke told Observer Radio, open quote, "If we do not look at how we are going to generate the revenue going forward, we can give up 10% now, and we have no idea when the company will rebound for us to recoup that investment or even for them to start paying the staff back," close quote. Earlier this month, shareholder governments met to discuss the financial crisis facing the Antigua-based airline. And the United States President met with wife of Venezuela's interim president, Juan Guaido, on Wednesday and assured her that the U.S. is going to get it all worked out.
Responding to reporters' questions on the Venezuela situation, Trump replied all options are on the table, including the military. When asked about Russia's involvement in Venezuela, Trump replied Russia has to get out.
A lot of progress is being made with all of the problems. A tremendous amount of progress is being made. Venezuela was a country with tremendous potential and is still a country with tremendous potential. But people are starving, they're being killed, they're being beaten. What's going there is unfathomable to everybody that sees and everybody that gets reports. We're getting reports that are horrible. The potential of Venezuela, if done properly and with democracy, would be incredible. It was one of the richest companies, certainly one of the truly rich countries of the world, and now it's one of the poorest countries of the world. You look at what's happened. Despite oil, the oil's not coming out. Everything's broken. They have no water. They have no electric. The lights are out. In fact, I understand just today they had a big blackout. So we're very much in contact with your husband and with everybody else, and a lot of things are happening. Many things are happening.
If Russia doesn't leave, how are you going to get them out, Mr. President?
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. All options are open. Just so you understand, all options are open.
South African government officials have already weighed in on the current state of affairs in Venezuela. This clip is from the South Africa Broadcasting Corporation.
At the Security Council meeting, Russia, China, and South Africa questioned the U.S. intervention.
We should recognize the government of President Maduro. as chief government of Venezuela. So that has not changed from South African position.
The South African Federation of Trade Unions has condemned Trump's actions of endorsing the self-proclaimed leader. Zwelinzi Mavavi says Venezuela can resolve this crisis.
The first thing that we must not allow is for capital to dictate who should be the leaders of any country, in particular international capitalists. The second thing that we must say is to say to Trump and all of these extreme right wings in Brazil and other countries, hands off the problems of Venezuela, allow the Venezuelans to solve their own problems. They don't need a big brother with a big scambok ready to whip a winner of any elections that they do not like into line. That's so undemocratic for Trump to want to dictate to Venezuelans.
The SACP and other trade unions will be calling for protests outside the U.S. Embassy in support of the people of Venezuela.
The world should reject this unilateralism of the U.S. government. We should also stand together, particularly through the United Nations, to sustain and defend the integrity and autonomy and independence of countries. In this case, a country like Venezuela, to practice the social system that they so fit for their respective countries.
If there are objections of elections in Venezuela, they must exhaust all the constitutional processes. They must go to the courts there and challenge the elections, instead of ushering in a coup d'etat, because what is effectively happening in Venezuela is a coup d'etat.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are,
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
there's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow.
To end the news, the headlines again. A $15 million rehabilitation project for Roseau Fisheries Complex. Consultancy on Dawasco's multi-million-pound water system improvement project begins in a few weeks. And Dominicans told to be proactive in understanding the voter registration system. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.